So welcome to our alumni speaker for February. We have Sanjib here today with us, and he's going to speak a little bit about consulting, management consulting, and SAP consulting. So I am going to make sure that we turn it over to Sanjib and let him share his knowledge with us today.
Thank you, Christine. Just wanted to make sure that everybody is able to see the screen and hear me properly. Can you confirm that, please?
I do see, I can see you. And if anyone has any comments, please feel free to put them in the chat as well. I can go ahead and put that out there if there's something going on.
Yes, coming through loud and clear.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so it's going to be an exciting day today. Are you all excited? Yay. All right, so here is what we are going to do, right? So I would encourage, so first of all, thank you for joining us for this MBA speaker series today. It's a very, very close topic to my heart. And I have been a throughout long-time consultant, and I want to share whatever I have gained throughout my journey as a consultant with you all, given the limited time, and also my promise to you that I would like to stay connected, and our connections don't end here. Okay. Cal State San Bernardino has offered a great platform for all of us to be there, to connect, and to stay connected. So please take this opportunity. You guys have taken the perfect step to join this session, and then let's continue this partnership from here on. One more message that I would like to call out is that if you all don't feel shy, please come on to your video. Julie, thanks for joining and turning your video on. It helps us stay more connected. Maureen, thank you. It helps us stay connected, and also it helps us collaborate more to gain more out of this session. Paula, thank you. Everybody, whoever is turning your videos on, perfect. I love it. You all have invested, or at least planned to invest 1 hour, 15 minutes of your time. So we would like to make sure that we get best out of this 1.5 hours, right? I have prepared myself well enough to cater to the audience like all of you. Kristen has helped me prepared for this session. She's been a very good, I would say, friend. She's been a very good mentor when it came to preparing for this session. So let's begin. All right. Myself, Sanjib Chattopadhyay. I work for Deloitte Consulting, and I'm a senior manager at the consulting firm Deloitte. For those of you who do not know Deloitte, it's one of the big 4 consulting firms in the world. And I work in their technology consulting, enterprise performance, SAP area, and I'm a finance transformation expert. My introduction, I would always try to put myself over 3 pillars, and the 3 pillars of my success, just like a tripod, are first of all, my family self, okay? My family, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a proud son. And I'm a first generation immigrant to this country. I feel proud of what I have achieved by coming from a lower middle class family back home in India. My 16-year-old goes to a high school, and in about a year, she will be off to the college. The next pillar defines me, who I am as a professional person. I'm a SAP consulting with a finance transformation background of more than 22 years. And I'm a speaker. I have tremendous experience in automotive sectors. I have tremendous experience in the technology media sectors. And I focus mainly on capital budgeting, assets, fixed assets where capital is invested and the companies would like to take advantage of the best investment that they can make in this area and how to transact them using the SAP ERP. For those of you who don't know what SAP is, please hold back your thought. We will come to that in a short while. And lastly, the third area that defines myself is myself. Okay, that's only me, and two words that define me best is the honesty and integrity. Without these two, I strongly believe that I'm nobody. This is one thing that you are not born with, but you shape yourself up by strongly believing in those values. And these are very, very important in my life. I have been very fortunate enough to come in close contacts with few leaders, few mentors in my life who have taught me these values. And they include my parents, my teachers, and in my early careers, some of my colleagues. And even today, I look at people who are so honest. They motivate me to stay on the right track. All right, let's deep dive. The way I have tried to shape this conversation is we'll talk about consulting, what a consulting life is, and we'll talk about some of the career opportunities as a general consulting, because I understand SAP consulting is a very focused area. And if you all want to have focused conversations around just SAP consulting, I can probably come back at a later time and talk about it separately. But today's focus is broadly as a management consulting, and also within that, we'll talk about SAP. Then we'll talk about some of the good qualities that a consultant should have, and what are the perks that comes with the consulting? What are the professional perks? What are the personal perks that one can get out of this career? Finally, as you all are going through the MBA program as a student, you all would be trying to take a leap in your career. Then how to prepare yourself for your either next career move immediately after this program ends, or you may have already started thinking about it. So how do you prepare yourself to become a management consultant or go into SAP consulting? And then we'll leave probably 15-20 minutes for questions. By the way, I would encourage that whoever is in this call, I cannot see all of you on the video or so, but please interrupt me with any questions that you may have anytime. Feel free to interrupt. I would like to stay engaged so that I understand whether whatever I'm saying is making sense for you or not, or I can trim down one particular section and move to another. All right. What is consulting? And I'm not being a teacher, but I'm going to ask that some of you share your thoughts around consulting. Can anybody chime in, raise their hand, and talk about it?
I'll go. I would think consulting would be kind of taking into consideration whatever you're consulting. So if that's going to be financing or the business itself, and evaluating it depending on how you go about it, and then giving your own opinion as what they can do to make it better.
Awesome. So you touched upon two very, very important things, right? One is the variety of consulting careers, right? The variety of consulting careers, whether logistics, supply chain or anything, and then you talked about how we can make it better. That's the continuous learning part of it, and how you can improve upon a certain area by talking about it, right? Anybody else would like to share their thoughts? Maybe if something we have just not talked, something new. All right, I'll give an example, okay? And the consulting example that Charisma, if I'm saying your name right, pardon me if I'm not saying it right, but Charisma, you mentioned that continuous learning, right? So I was talking to Kristen right before this call, and I changed my virtual background, and she immediately jumped upon and she said, "Oh, I like the virtual background that you made. I should make it better next time around for some of these sessions, and I should improve it, and I should take it and do it for this program." So that's continuous learning, right? And we all do that. But the important part is how we can keep that as a mission for ourselves and improve upon, so that we can go and help, right? So let's move on. I think the definition of consulting is the ability to solve the most complex problems of your client. Now, who is your client? Anybody could be your client. You all are my customers. You all are my clients right now. If I'm able to solve a problem of you, that is consulting, right? If you give me a problem, if I'm able to solve it, or even if I'm able to give some inputs, that is consulting. Consult. If I'm consulting, that means I'm giving some value. That is the definition of consulting by nature. And Charisma, you touched upon two very, very important things here, right? You talked about variety of consulting careers that are there. That's very important. Consulting is also about strategy, right? You do strategic thinking. Now, a couple of areas we talked are very tactical areas. The example that I gave about changing my Zoom virtual background and Christian liking it is a very tactical step. But there are strategic moves that business organizations would like to take. And that's where they engage people who are experts or sort of consultants, so to take their strategic moves. And the third thing that consulting offers, or consulting is very important, is network. We have heard, probably most of you are in varied stages of your MBA journey, and you have heard that networking is very, very important, not only in professional life, but also in personal life. That's why I'm very happy and honored to be back in the MBA journey. Okay, I finished my MBA career a few years ago, but I'm back as an alumni speaker and able to expand my network. I would like to stay connected with you. Again, I'm repeating it. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. My details are in the earlier slides. Let's move on. What does consulting life look like for me? Consulting life looks like asking a bunch of questions in order to answer a bunch of questions, and doing analysis, helping the clients. I would not go through each and every thing that is written over there. I also do not expect that you all go through this, but think about a client's business problems, right? Many organizations, they are in different shapes. So other day, and this is a perfect example that comes to mind, things are changing. The other day, I was talking to one of my colleagues in Canada, and she is working for a project to help with the COVID vaccine scheduling and release. Now, imagine what kind of a project is that? It's a new thing. It's a business problem, whether it's public sector or private sector. And somebody is coming there to help them. That is consulting. We work collectively, we do research, we do study, we conduct interviews, we optimize the solutions, and then we implement them, operationalize them to help get the client get the best out of their box. That is consulting. And a day in a consultant's life is about doing all of these. One thing I can tell you that as a consultant, you will never be bored. If you have a mind that you don't want to, you are not afraid of doing new things, you will never, ever be bored. That's what a consultant's life looks like. Anything else? Someone else would like to share what you think of a consulting life is?
Yeah, I wanted to share earlier when you talked about the consulting life and what it is. My friend actually left her CPG role to become a career consultant, and she just likes it a lot. She sees like the freedom of it, right? The ability to be able to help others with their career paths, or like you said, if somebody's getting started. So it's just consulting can be so many different things, right? And not only helping companies or organizations, but helping people, in an everyday situation. So just wanted to share that because it took a lot from her to leave like that stability of working for a company to then kind of embarking on this new career herself, right, to help others.
Absolutely right. And Fanny, when you're narrating that story, I kind of remembered my own journey. I am an accountant by education. So I studied in India. I studied accountancy. I studied tax. I studied cost accountancy. And I became an accountant. Okay. I started working, and then I was doing the management reporting of a very large organization. There were month ends, internal reports. We used to publish reports for our senior executives, and then finally it used to go to the VPs and others. But the regular month end jobs, it kind of started to get me bored. I never liked it. And I found my passion within that because we were using SAP ERP. I found that as a way of expressing myself a little differently within my own job, right? So I started expanding there and poking holes into that area and learning more. That's how, I became a consultant. Right, you are very, very right. So if you have a passion for something, and we'll talk about passion a little bit in the next section. If you have passion for something, try and identify that, and then move towards that. That is consulting. That will help a lot. And my journey, I can tell you, I had made the decision early on in my career. So that's why I'm very fortunate to have found the niche that I loved.
No, thank you for
Right.
sharing that with us. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it's not easy to switch from a stable job, from an end client job where you are sitting and you know that you have a fixed routine to do and deliver, whereas consulting is all about uncertainty. Yes, there are positives, but there are risks and negatives as well. But as long as you have passion for it, you will be successful. Trust me, there are so many consultants. And there are people to help you out there. You will find mentors, you will find colleagues who are excelling in that area. All right, that brings me to the day in a life or sample week in a life scenario of a consulting. Usually, consulting is synonymous with travel. I travel for consulting. I used to travel for consulting pre-COVID. Not anymore, not now. So Monday mornings, I'll start my day and go to the airport, take a flight, go wherever my client takes me, and then start my job, right? Then all those things will happen, like the analysis, the talking, the discussions, meetings, etc., will continue to happen. Evenings are the best time to network. Monday evenings, we will be a little tired, so we'll retire to a hotel room or somewhere, anywhere we are staying. And then Tuesday, Wednesday is evenings are perfect for networking, either with a client or to meet new people or to even explore the city that we are traveling in. So it gives you a lot of opportunities to learn, to meet, to interact. If you are going into consulting, try to make good use of those times. Initially, I used to be very tired in the evenings, and I was retiring to my hotel room, which was not very good, right? I found that it was, although it was not a limiting move for me, but I was not learning as much as I would do. So, so I would always encourage that if you are traveling, then go find someone, go find a friend, a colleague, or a client, or anybody else in the evenings to share your dinner with, have chat, learn something new, and then come back to hotel. Again, Thursday, usually we used to fly out and come back to our hometown. And Fridays we will be working from our local office, or we will be working from home office. With the COVID situation here, we stopped traveling and we are all fully remote. Right now, I'm working fully remotely from my home. I have my home office set up here, and in the next room, my daughter is going to her school. The other office, other bedroom, actually, my wife is teaching her students on the other room. So, and we all are doing it. You all are attending this session from your home office, or you are attending your classes from your home office. So that this is no different here. Usually on Fridays, late afternoon or evenings, we have networking events within our local communities. So we reach out to local communities, learn something from them, and do networking. So networking is a very, very big thing for consulting. So if you are planning to think about consulting, you should consider to be networking more and more than you have done before. And trust me, networking may not be easy for people who think they are shy or they are not into talking as much. I am a shy person. I was a shy person. I'm still a shy person, right? But you can hear me talking for the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I've been talking continuously, probably. And to strangers, I would have otherwise felt that, okay, I should not be talking. Now I have overcome that. That's because of my networking opportunities and how much I have grown through that. Again, there's nothing wrong in being shy or being extrovert, but it's who we are that defines ourselves. So please think that consulting will shape you to who you are, right, as a different person. Anybody would like to ask any question over there? Or if not, then we have, in the last minute, we have time for questions, okay? We'll talk about career opportunities now. As somebody was mentioning, we have different areas of consulting. We can think of management consulting, where we talk to senior C-level executives to solve their problems. They'll come to us. They'll come to us with with their problems and they will ask for help. It could be in any area, right? Why they would come to you? Because they would consider that you have the expertise, you have the knowledge, or you can bring in the right expertise or knowledge. That is most important, right? I may not have every knowledge, but I can bring in someone through my network who has the right skill set to help the client. There are financial advisory, consulting, marketing, etc. So think about your passion. Whatever you are passionate about, find that passion, and then you can go into any of these areas as consulting. Now, these are just sample consulting areas. It's not limited to just these. You can think of travel consulting, right? There are so many folks who do arts consulting, okay? Media consulting. There are so many things to think of, right? And when consulting comes, one is the area of your expertise, and the other one is the industry that you can or you plan to serve. The intersection of that makes a very good mix, and we'll talk about it in a bit. That actually transforms us to SAP Consulting. Now, SAP at Deloitte or in all those big consulting firms is a part of their technology consulting or ERP consulting practice. For those of you, so can anybody share what SAP means? Or do you know what is SAP?
I know SAP from my employer, but we use it more for, it's like a system where we process certain functions, right? Purchase orders from the marketing side, supply, items like invoices from our clients, etc. But that's how I know SAP. I haven't personally worked directly with it though.
That is right. That is absolutely right. And that's their core software they started their business with. They are an ERP platform, but then since then they have grown so much, they are into almost everything you can think of, right? They are into cloud, they are into, you talked about purchase orders, you talked about invoices. Yes, it's a very, very integrated software and an awesome software that most of the companies uses nowadays. In fact, there was a statistics that 70%, 70% of the world's dollar exchanges flows through the ERP SAP, right? So you can imagine most organizations, I can tell you, I may be wrong if I quote a number or a percentage, but out of the Fortune 500, probably more than 450 or 480 companies will be using it in some form or the fashion, right? They have HR toolkits, they have finance, they have supply chain, and they also have various other new generation technologies to support your business. If you are planning to go into SAP and you are an MBA student, so you can find marketing is my forte, or you can find finance is my forte, or supply chain is something that I like, or even project management. You can definitely get into SAP consulting. Like I'm a finance person, and my personal story, I was telling you, I'm an accountant, right? How did I get into SAP? Like Fanny, the exact way you described, right? You are probably not the end user, but I was an end user of SAP. And I started learning SAP by going into the software. I was doing, accounts payable. I was a accounts payable clerk. And then I started getting into the system. The ERP was very new, and they were implementing it for the first time in India in my company. Though that time I used to work for Siemens. And I started, because the software was new, it had so many bugs in it. And I started poking holes in that, right? Unknowingly. And I get a call from my HO, and my boss actually gets a call. And they say, hey, what's your AP department doing, accounts payable department doing? Why are we seeing all these invoices out there and the payments are also there, but they are not matched? It's not supposed to be that way. I usually pay an invoice and then it's matched against the invoice. So then they talked to my boss, and my boss came and spoke to me. Hey, Sanjeev, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do it this way. I said, well, the system is very slow, and I have found out a way to mass process, multiple invoices together. We were supposed to process one by one, right? Because the volumes were low and we were learning. So we were supposed to process one by one. It was a low volume area. But then I still found it inefficient. I found a way to mass process documents. But because the system was not mature, it did not clear the invoices, right? I'm pretty sure all of you can understand what I'm talking. And then I explained this to my boss, and he went back and narrated it back to the HO and the consultants who were implementing it. They said, oh, we want this guy in our team because he's poking holes in our system. So he's the best person to beta test it. He's the best person who can tell us from an end user perspective what's hurting him. And he can make this better. So that attitude you have to have if you are going into consulting, right? They never came back and said, or punished me for my behavior. They encouraged me to find bugs in the system. Why? So that they can improve the system, right? So that's what, as a consultant, we have to always keep thinking, right? Not to find bugs, but how do we keep on improving ourselves? Having that said, on one side of the SAP ERP, now we have various industries on the other side. Okay, I will not name each of them, but each of these areas and the cross section of the industries can be a niche area. Like I focus within the consumer industry also. I'm a heavy automotive industry expert. So I have spoken in automotive industry conferences and won some awards for my clients as well using SAP. And also I focus on finance transformation, right? So finance transformation using automotive and also within the technology sectors. That's my area. You all can find your own area and excel in that. Why would a client pay for your services if you do not have expertise? So you need to develop that expertise. We briefly touched about the qualities of a good consultant, little bit, networking. And also we talked about how you should be willing to continuously learn. But let's take a look at some of the formal rule sets. Now, by no means, these are an exhaustive list. And again, I'm not here to coach you. You can find a lot of things out in the world. But something that I have gained personally from is listed here. Understanding your client. You should be able to listen to them. You should be able to talk to them to understand their pain point. If you don't understand their pain point, you will never be able to solve that. That's number one for a consultant. The next thing in my mind is building your expertise. If you are an expert in that area, that helps, right? Otherwise, nobody is going to pay for a consultant who don't have expertise. Now, I talked about networking, and through your network, you can bring in the right expertise into the client's area where they need help. But in order to do that, the client should also have trust in you. We'll talk about trust a little bit later. In order to stay ahead in the game, you should be able to research the market and also talk to your competitors. Finally, building relationship is most important. You should be talking to your clients so that they come back to you always. They always feel like coming back to you because you can help them and you have a relationship, right? We all know from our relationships, we would tend as human beings to go to those people whom we know better. And consulting or business is no different. So if you are thinking of consulting as a career, think about how you can build strong relationships. And it takes time. You need to nurture those relationships. One way of doing it, and I was talking to one of my colleagues, right, recently, we have moved into a total virtual online working from home situation. Earlier, we used to network. We used to go out for dinner and drinks, right, sometimes. But nowadays, it's not possible. So what we do, sometimes we spend time for coffee. I talk to people in Europe. I talk to people in Canada or Australia. And we set up some time. While I'm having my coffee, morning coffee, somebody in Europe is probably, having their evening tea. But we set up 15 minutes time to chat, to stay connected. That's how you can continue to build your relationships.
And
Yes.
Sanjeev, quick question. So the chats themselves, of course, keeping it professional, but how professional do you keep it? Is it something where it's completely 15 minutes of business?
You mean the chat with your clients or colleagues?
With the clients themselves.
With the clients, it could vary, right? So remember,
Okay.
one thing I would share: clients are also individuals. Okay, they are thriving for chatting with you. They are also willing to talk to you, but they will only open up and talk if they feel you as a trustworthy partner, right? So you can have, depending on your relationships, you can have first degree, second degree, third degree relationships. And we talk about, in our firm, we talk about business chemistry a lot, which is you need to shape the conversations depending on what your relationships are and what your personality traits are, right? So if somebody is is an avid golfer, right, you can go out to golf with them, and many business deals happen there. You can go out to dine together. If somebody is interested, you can go there. And the coffee chats can depend on, you can start with 15 minutes, or if somebody is very directive, they can say, oh, I don't have time, let's talk for 15 minutes, and then, get out and let's do our business, regular work. Sometimes you catch up. Like I have a colleague, I can tell you, have an ex-colleague, but he's a good friend of mine from my client. One of my past clients, we presented at the auto conference together, and we've stayed connected. We've stayed connected for long. I have never met his family, but I know his daughters. He knows mine. We talk about them, right? He's got two cute girls, and we talk about them every time. He's from Kentucky, but he lived in Japan. So he tells me his life stories, and we are friends now, right? He's no longer a client. You can think about it that way, right? So the more you try to build relations, you become a friend.
Thank you.
But
Thank you
good,
so much for clarifying that. It was
yeah.
definitely something I was wondering about.
No, it's a good question. And if you have any doubts, yes, please feel free. Continuing with the qualities, we talked about trust. How would somebody give you business? How would somebody trust with you with their most complex problems if you are not reliable, if you don't have the knowledge of the subject matter, if you don't listen to them? Those are the good qualities of a consultant. And as a consultant, you should always have focus on the end goal. What is your end goal? To solve the problem at hand. That is the end goal. And the problem could be anything, right? It could be in supply chain area. Somebody may be willing to spend their time properly to fix their invoicing problem or purchasing problems or supply chain related issues or finance issues. I'm not able to report my profit and loss and balance sheet properly, or I'm not able to do my interest calculation, okay, or I'm unable to do my bank reconciliation, or there could be so many other things. I'm unable to ship my goods to my customer. It could be anything, but the eyes on the prize is very, very important. End goal. And in order to do that, we should be focusing on the details. Anybody would like to share what is the attention to details mean? Any examples you can think of?
I think, like you mentioned earlier, of how you changed your routine when you were flying to meet your clients, and the fact that you took a day to network a little bit, maybe go out for drinks. The next day you went out on the town to see the different food, looking at those behaviors of how the team works together, and not just looking at the problem or the strategy, right? But also how they work to solve this, or how they interact is one of those attention to details, right? Because if they don't have a good team, then how are they going to reach those goals, or how are they going to improve on what they want to improve on? So just
Yeah.
an example.
No, that's a good example, actually.
Sorry, I want to add to that. I think it could be also like when you're talking or just conversating with them, just picking up on like key terms that they use, and just kind of like try to remember that, like when you are working, it's kind of like them telling you what they want without really telling you. I don't know if that
It's
makes sense.
very, very, very important. Very important. So you are talking about listening skills and attention to details. So you need to be able to talk the client's language. That's very important in consulting, right? If I don't know, and that will only come if you have the subject matter expertise. If you're talking about problems related to supply chain and somebody has got no clue what that is in that particular industry, you will not be able to help them. So attention to details and listening, yes, very important. Finally, I would like to actually, in this slide, my best note is on the sharing attitude, right? As a consultant, as a human being, we learn a lot throughout our career, right? We shape ourselves by interacting with multiple people. But what good that is if we don't share? So if you're thinking of becoming a consultant or even a good person, please share your skills, share your knowledge. I have had so many people who have come to me and mentored me without even having to ask them. People have just shared, hey, I don't like the way you reacted, or you could have done something differently here. That's, I like how you presented it, but have you thought of how you can do it this way? Or have you thought of presenting it this way? Those are the things that others have come and shared. I love that. Share your knowledge, share your feedback, and that's how we all can grow together. That's very important, and it's a very good quality of a good consultant. Okay, we've seen consulting. Let's talk about perks, professional perks. You are always working in a team. You are never, ever alone. Usually we think that, oh, this person is a consultant or that person is a consultant. No, it's a team of consultants. You always work in a team to solve a problem. The best part about consulting is you enrich your problem solving skills every day. The more you think through the problems, the more skilled you get, because you get to talk about variety of problems and you have those in your repository, in your mind as your experience, and your problem solving skills are enhanced. Another best thing about consulting is you can choose your own team. If you don't like to work in a particular team, you can change your team and you can go to another team. That's important. You don't get to do that if you are in a fixed job. Your boss tells you what to do. But here, you can decide which boss to work with, which team to work with. That's a big benefit, according to me. Flexibility. How you do the work, when you do the work, that is important, at least to me, right? I'm sure flexibility, many of you in this call would appreciate the flexibility of working. Most of our clients, they don't care when you do the work, but they care that the work is done. That is important for me. I never liked, I shared the story, I never liked that month-end job, right? Every month end, I cannot take a PTO. I'll have to come and do this report for my boss or that report for my boss. If I'm out, I need to talk to my colleagues to help me, et cetera, et cetera. No, I don't have to do that anymore. Now I know my job and I can pace myself. Of course, me and my team and everybody, right? We don't work alone. But then you have the flexibility to decide your own career and or your own work schedule, like how you all are studying, and you can select your learning schedule right now. Talking about learning, the other benefit that you get is learning while having fun. We can, if we find passion, and consulting is all about passion. If you're having fun on the work that you're passionate about, you're having fun. And talking about fun, there are fun rewards and exciting rewards that come with consulting. Travel. Consulting is synonymous with travel, right? I talked about Monday traveling out to a client site and Thursdays coming back. Sometimes entire week you get to stay at home and work, or maybe work from a local office. But the usual rewards that come from travel, like airline points or hotel points, mileage, etc., those are perks. Somebody likes it. Somebody do not like it. I know people who get those reward points and donate them to charities, to help people, to help kids who are not so privileged, so that they can they go and travel, take a vacation, or go and meet their idols. Those are perks. Networking is a perk that comes with consulting, right? I'm pretty sure not only in my organization, but in many organizations, there are social events, networking events that you can spend time to interact with multiple people and learn about them, learn about the other things. You can explore different cities. Wherever your clients are, you go and work there, and you can explore them. There's something called as alternate travel, and Deloitte offers that. Many of the other firms also offers that. What it means is that on a weekend, right, you get to decide on a Thursday, you will not fly back home. Instead, you will fly to a different city to meet your friends. And you again come back on Monday to the same client location. And that's called alternate travel. So instead of flying back from your client to your home, you fly back from your client to your sister's place, or to your friend's place, to your class, to your classmate's room where whom you are meeting for after 2 years or something like that. I know a friend, when he was still not married, he visited all the 50 states, and his goal was to visit all the national parks using this alternate travel facility. Think about it, right? So Thursdays, he was all by himself. Thursdays, he's saying, okay, I got no incentive in flying back to my home. I will travel to Nebraska. I will travel to, some other exotic place. Of course, there are limitations and restrictions and rules, but you get to take advantage of that. That's fun. That's exciting. And then it also comes with some of the benefits is that client pays your expenses, or sometimes your company pays for your expenses, your food, your stay, your travel. Of course, there are limits and rules around that. So these are some of the fun perks that comes with it. Depending on what excites you, you can achieve that. We've talked for quite a bit. Let's now take a look at what many organizations look for in a consultant, right? If you are planning to become a consultant and the companies, they are coming to your campus, they look at your past history. It's no different than applying for college, and colleges are looking at your application and they are looking at your resume and your explanation of how you have shaped yourself. That history, universities and colleges look for. Similarly, your new organizations, they look for your track record. What are your leadership skills? Are you a team player? Those are the things that they would look for. Do you have a positive attitude? And can you think critically while solving a problem? Most of the companies, they will give you a business case when you're in the interview process. They don't want an exact yes or no answer, because this is not math. This is not science. This is life. And there could be various options to solve a business problem. They will throw a business case, and we are expected as a student, we are expected to respond to those by thinking critically. So companies look for those critical thinking skills.
Can you give an example on that?
Sure. Critical thinking is, let me take a pause.
I guess my question would be, like, would they give you a case in we're having issues with our scheduling issues, or pretty much like our overtime issues here? How would you handle the situation? It would be a question along those lines.
Yes, and depending on the area of work, I was actually trying to give a relevant example from my area, but in general, whatever. So consulting is varied, right? It could be in any area. If you are talking about supply chain, they could give you a problem of supply chain, right? And a real life case study and how you are addressing that problem. That's what they are looking for. It's not a straight yes or no answer. You can take your time to respond. Okay, and I can tell you in my my example right now, I'm working with a large technology company having presence in more than 180 countries. We are doing their ERP, SAP ERP implementation, and they have assets, right, in various countries. So we are faced with a problem that, okay, not every country have every type of assets. Like you have furniture fixtures, you have vehicles, cars, computers, etc. And there are different, they actually have complex machines and other things. So not every country, they operate and have the same type of assets. But sometimes they have assets that needs to be created in those companies, right, or those countries. So how do you solve this problem? They were faced with this problem in their earlier ERP. And right now, we are working towards solving this problem for the client. It depends on what the area is, what your area of expertise is. My example may not have come across as a very relevant one, because I couldn't probably explain and give details about it. because of client confidentiality. But think about any situation and try to apply yourself. That would be
Thank you.
my take. Yes.
Thanks for sharing that.
No problems. So we have talked through the consulting journey, and now we are about to start our consulting. But where to begin, right? You should begin by identifying your passion and then building your expertise. Nobody is going to pay for your consulting services if you don't have the expertise. Any area, you can pick that up. You know what you are good at. And then keep on practicing. Practice, practice, practice. That's what makes you better. And that's why your clients will pay for. Your new companies will choose you. And then the next step comes as we usually find internship in a big company. And then if I am liking that area, I will continue to talk to them. And then maybe I can go as a consultant through the campus recruiting process. Or many people, as I was explaining, I have transitioned, I have taken the third one here, right? The two-step approach to consulting. I started as a industry and sector area person, and then I joined the consulting firm as an experienced hire after few years. That few years could depend. Some people, I have seen people spending time in federal practice or in government, like 20 years. We are employing a lot of veterans who have spent 20, 25 years in Navy or Army, and now they are joining as consultants because they have gained knowledge in that area. So they are taking that approach of spending time in an industry or a sector and then coming and explaining, sharing their knowledge, being an expert in that area. So you can go in either way. How you shape up and which one applies to you, it'll be your individual interest. One thing I would share, if you are interested to take away from this session, is that lifelong learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I want all of you to take that message from today's session, if you can, that be a lifelong learner. It'll help all of us, not only in consulting, but also in our professional and personal lives. All right, we have a few more minutes. I took more than expected. Some of you were very engaging, so please feel free to chime in, ask questions.
So we have about 2 minutes before we're officially done. If you're wanting to stay and people have the availability to ask questions, I'm more than happy to keep us running. But if you do have to leave and go to class, please feel free to go. We don't want to make you wait. We will be recording this and posting it on YouTube later.
Hi, I have a question. You say you traveled a lot before. What's the difference between traveling and not traveling in efficiency? I guess now is not your job is not as efficient as you would like it to be, right? Otherwise, why would companies spend money on sending you or you wasting your time on a 10-hour flight?
Very, very good question, Paula. So traveling gives you the opportunity to meet people in person, right? However, I am interacting with all of you. If you are interacting in a classroom session, in-person session, it's totally different, right? Or if I'm interacting with a client sitting in a conference room and talking in an office, that's a totally different scenario. So I would love to go back and travel so that I can meet them in person. And there are many things that you can learn when you are interacting in person. You can see their gestures. You can see what they're pointing at. There is very less communication gap. The biggest difference that I have seen with this remote working is that we have not been efficient as much. And I'm very honestly sharing this. The fact remains that earlier we'll go for a coffee, right? We will go to the pantry. We are working in an office situation. We'll go to the pantry, have a cup of coffee, and I'll meet a colleague. I may have a question. I'll ask the question and we'll go our way, right? It's a 2-minute conversation or 5-minute conversation. But now with this remote working situation, in order for you to have that 5-minute conversation, you will spend 5 minutes scheduling meeting with that person. And then you cannot schedule meeting for less than 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So think about it, right? So that 5-minute conversation has just become a 20-minute active time. You reduce your travel time, but your inefficiencies are causing that problem. The other area that I've seen is a problem is that because of this technology thing, there are people who are facing audio video challenges. People may not be able to express themselves properly, right? So there are communication gaps that are happening and clients are unable to express themselves.
I'm saying because honestly, I don't school. I don't like the online classes. I don't feel like
right? Yeah.
Well, I'm old-fashioned. I finished 1,000 years ago, but this is like a joke, you know. All this online school and everything.
Well, it'll go over. So
oh well, okay.
it'll be
Thank you.
soon over. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I felt like it cannot be as efficient as before, you know. It's.
Yeah, but in consulting, I will tell you, right, we tried various modes of working. Not every week we used to travel. So we encouraged our clients that, okay, we consolidate a particular week or 2 weeks in a month where we said, okay, all important meetings or conversations, we will gather people from across the globe or across their organization. People are, I work for very large organizations, so they have people distributed across the country or geography. They will bring their people and we will go there in one central place, and for about 2 weeks we'll have consolidated meetings, and then we'll go about doing our job remotely, right? There are many things we can do remotely. That thing has stopped. That's the challenge. Yeah, good question, Paula.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? I can stay on for 2 more minutes or one last question.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. And it was great, and I feel like everyone learned a lot. I know I learned a lot, and I do get a lot of students that ask about consulting, definitely during different parts of their school career, either at the beginning or the end. So I will definitely be referring them to this on YouTube for sure. And then telling them to go talk to you on LinkedIn as well. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I hope we can stay connected.